Over the past few years, the housing market in California has been one of the hottest in the country, with prices rising to record highs and demand showing no signs of slowing down. But as we approach the end of 2025, things are shifting. Home prices are coming down, inventory is rising, and there's a noticeable change in the dynamics of the market. So what's really going on? And how is California's Governor Gavin Newsom responding to these challenges? Let's unpack everything. First, let's talk about the numbers. As many of you know, the real estate market in California has been one of the most expensive in the nation for decades. In 2024, the median home price in California was sitting just under $1 million, around $990,500 to be exact. That's a staggering amount for many residents, especially for first-time homebuyers. Fast forward to 2025, and that price has dropped by roughly 10%. While that may sound like good news for buyers, it's also a sign that the market is cooling. It's not just that prices are falling. Other factors are also at play, and we need to dive into those. The primary reason behind this downturn is the rise in mortgage rates. The Federal Reserve has been increasing interest rates to try and combat inflation, and as a result, mortgage rates have climbed steadily. In 2025, mortgage rates have been hovering around 7%. For many potential homebuyers, this is a huge barrier to entry, as it makes monthly mortgage payments more expensive and homeownership more out of reach. Even for those with good credit, the higher rates make it tougher to afford homes that were previously within budget. This means that fewer people are entering the market, which contributes to the slowdown. But that's not all. There's also been a slight increase in housing inventory, which is another factor contributing to the cooling of the market. For years, California has faced a severe housing shortage, which has driven prices up. But in 2025, the state has seen more listings, with sellers trying to offload their properties as they're aware of the shifting market. Buyers, however, aren't jumping at these new listings as quickly as they did in the past, and as a result, the demand-supply balance is starting to level out. This shift in the market isn't necessarily a bad thing. Experts argue that after years of rapid price hikes, a market correction was inevitable. However, it's important to understand that the current market isn't just about prices coming down. The factors behind this change are much deeper and more complex than just affordability or supply. It's about the economic uncertainty many Californians are feeling right now. Rising inflation, layoffs in certain industries, and a general sense of financial unease have all combined to slow down what was once a feverishly competitive market. Now you might be wondering, how is Governor Gavin Newsom responding to this situation? Well, Newsom has been outspoken about the need to address California's ongoing housing crisis. While some argue that the market correction is a natural consequence, others believe the state needs more proactive measures to ensure that people can still afford to live in California without being priced out of their communities. To that end, Governor Newsom has signed several pieces of legislation aimed at easing the housing crunch. Let's start with one of the more notable bills, Senate Bill 79, also known as the Abundant and Affordable Homes Near Transit Act. Governor Newsom signed this legislation into law in October 2025. The bill seeks to promote denser housing development near major transit hubs. The idea is simple: increase the supply of housing near areas with high demand and make it easier for people to live near public transportation options, thus reducing their reliance on cars. The bill essentially overrides local zoning laws and allows for taller apartment buildings, sometimes up to 9 stories high, near transit stations. While this bill has received significant support from housing advocates, it has also faced its fair share of opposition. Local officials, particularly in Southern California, have expressed concerns about the bill's impact on their control over zoning decisions. Many argue that allowing for taller buildings in already densely populated areas could lead to overcrowding and even displacement of low-income communities. There's a fear that these projects could lead to gentrification in neighborhoods that are already struggling with affordability issues. Governor Newsom, however, has defended the bill, calling it an important step toward addressing the housing crisis. He argues that without such bold moves, the state will continue to see rising inequality and increasing homelessness. By building more housing near transit hubs, Newsom believes the state can help more people live affordably, while also reducing their carbon footprints by providing easy access to public transportation. But SB 79 is only one piece of the puzzle. Earlier in 2025, Newsom also signed Assembly Bill 130 into law. AB 130 exempts most infill housing developments from review under the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA. Infill developments are projects that are built on vacant or underused land within existing urban areas. While CEQA has historically been a useful tool for environmental protection, it has also been a major roadblock in getting new housing projects approved in a timely manner. By exempting these infill projects from CEQA review, the state hopes to accelerate housing development in urban areas that already have the necessary infrastructure in place. This move has been met with mixed reactions. On the one hand, advocates argue that it's necessary to streamline the process and reduce red tape, which will help get more housing units built. On the other hand, critics say that it could lead to environmental degradation or lower quality housing developments if regulations are loosened too much. Ultimately, the success of AB 130 will depend on how the exemptions are applied and whether the state can balance the need for growth with environmental sustainability. Governor Newsom's approach to California's housing market crisis is comprehensive, and he's not just focusing on short-term fixes. His administration is also looking to tackle the root causes of the housing crisis, such as high construction costs, a lack of skilled labor, and bureaucratic delays. The state has allocated more funds for affordable housing initiatives and has incentivized developers to build more affordable units. However, these efforts may take years to bear fruit. But beyond the legislative efforts, there's another factor to consider: the overall affordability of living in California. Even with these new laws, housing is still incredibly expensive in many parts of the state. For middle-class families, buying a home remains out of reach, and for renters, prices are still high. While home prices may have come down slightly, they're still well above what most people can afford. The market may be adjusting, but the core issue of affordability remains. For many people, the dream of owning a home in California is still a distant one. And as the state continues to grow, with more people moving in every year, that pressure will only intensify. So what does all this mean for you? If you're a potential home buyer, it's a time of opportunity, but also caution. The market is cooling, and while prices are coming down, affordability remains a concern. Mortgage rates are still high, and many buyers are hesitant to make a move in this uncertain environment. If you're a seller, you'll need to adjust your expectations. The days of bidding wars and offers above asking price are likely behind us for now. However, if you're a buyer willing to wait for the right moment, you might be able to secure a better deal than you would have just a year ago. For current homeowners, it's important to stay informed about the market trends and understand how changes in home prices, interest rates, and policy could impact your property's value. While you may not be looking to sell right now, it's still worth keeping an eye on how these shifts will affect you in the future. And for those interested in the policy side, it's essential to track the ongoing legislative efforts and see how these bills are implemented. It'll be interesting to see whether the measures put in place by Governor Newsom will succeed in solving the housing crisis, or whether more radical changes will be necessary in the coming years. That's it for today's deep dive into California's housing market. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more updates. And as always, leave your thoughts and questions in the comments below. Until next time.